This episode of Beauty and the Surgeon podcast is brought to you by Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked is an online company dedicated to making professional health testing easy and accessible. Let's Get Checked offers fast, affordable, completely confidential at-home health tests from a range of tests from STDs, male and female hormones, and even COVID-19. Listeners of our podcast who are new to Let's Get Checked get 20% off by using our URL, trylgc.com/beauty, and be sure to use the code BEAUTY20 at checkout. That's trylgc.com, trylgc.com/beauty, BEAUTY, and be sure to use the code BEAUTY20, BEAUTY20 at checkout. Do it. Getting tested is important. It's the responsible thing to do, and you know how important I think it is to make sure you understand your labs. Welcome, everyone, to Beauty and the Surgeon podcast. You always try and throw me off with that sitting up straight thing, but you're not going to this time. I'm Amy. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I'm joined today, as always,
it's very parochial,
by the magnificent, say that again, magnificent Dr. Jason Martin.
3 syllables. You always struggle with the syllables.
He's a board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon. Dr. Martin, how you doing?
I'm doing really good.
Good. Well, you should be doing good because we actually teased this several weeks ago on our first episode of the year where we talked about our best year of your life challenge because you have a momentous birthday.
Right. So this is
magnificent, momentous.
Right.
See the theme?
I know this. We know what year this is, what life year. This is February 1st, episode 140. We're 10 episodes from 150, which is crazy. February is kind of a dismal month.
At least it's short.
There's a holiday that people like to travel. Other than that, maybe leap year, right? February is literally probably the least desirable month there is. It needs a PR agent. It really does.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, once February hits, March is all that much closer, and March means anything's possible.
Well, March, you feel like, spring break, things are happening. April, the flowers. May, you're like, okay, it's almost summer. Summer's awesome. September, I don't know.
I love September.
Football. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Football comes back. Oh, yeah.
October, Halloween.
See,
Thanksgiving,
February has
Christmas.
that. It has the Super Bowl. There's good stuff in February. Yeah.
So it's always good to do your challenge in a month where it's like,
well, this is a year. This is the best year of your life.
Starting it. I'm ready to go.
We gave people a chance. Like you set your resolutions in February or in January. If you want to join us, we would love it if you would leave us a comment. So if you're listening to this podcast, you can also find us on YouTube at Jason Martin MD. Tell us what your best year of your life challenge is. After you listen to ours, maybe you'll be inspired.
Yeah.
Mine may not be all that inspiring, but Dr. Martin's is pretty inspiring.
And both Amy and I decided to do things that we wanted to do from our own desires. We didn't look on the internet and do someone else's challenge. So this is our own. And that's what we hope that anyone listening would do. Something that you want to do for you.
Well, and that would make your life this year something that you look back on next year and like, wow, like I did something awesome that year.
Right.
And that's really my goal with this. I mean, you can make this challenge whatever because there are no rules. It's your challenge.
Very exciting.
Yes. So without further ado, Dr. Martin, we're going to talk about Dr. Martin's challenge.
Look at that handsome guy right there.
Who that is?
Who's that guy?
Yeah. This guy.
That's me.
Look at that. You even have your new glasses on.
Oh,
Sarah found a new picture of you.
I love it.
Yes.
I'm looking pretty good there. I'm ready to go. Got my surgical cap on. All right. So we're talking about my challenge first.
Yes. Tell us the what, when, why of your challenge.
So I was thinking long and hard about this. And so it's very interesting. So Amy, how long have we been in practice?
In practice, 16 years.
Yeah, you've been
almost
with me,
17.
You've been with me about 15, right? Total?
Yeah, it'll be 16 this year.
Okay.
So we're almost there.
All right.
We are nearing the end of the year 15.
So it's such an amazing blessing to be a plastic surgeon. I get to use an innate skill and my creativity, and I get to help people. Like, I don't really need much in my life. I love my wife, I have good kids, and I have this amazing profession. I have friends, which I'm with now. So that's awesome. But the thing that you find out in plastic surgery is that we're all the same. Everyone that comes in, we all struggle a little bit with our lives. Life is not easy. It doesn't matter how many gifts you have, money, professional, advancements and achievements, relationships are good. Like we all struggle. And you see this consistently, and I understand there's a user bias because I'm seeing people that are coming in that need help, but you see a commonality with everyone. And I can relate to that, right? I can relate with people struggling with their nutrition or struggling to go to the gym correctly or struggling with mindfulness or, sleep or whatever things that happen. And every time they say that, I'm like, oh, I understand that too, right? And I've collated these things in my brain over my profession. And then you start seeing these associations from patient to patient. And then and that's what I've always had in my head. I was like, I should really write this up. I should write a book. That's what always, I've said this to you before. Mm-hmm. And no one reads a book. Secondly, writing a book takes time. And what do I not have, Amy?
Well, we all have the same amount of time.
Okay.
Yours just happens to be very full.
Yeah, right. So I was, but that's always been in my head. I remember flying over to Europe and writing these things down on my phone and just staring at them. And that was on a long plane flight. And it was almost like meditating on these things I was writing down. So even though maybe I should do like a fun challenge, like taking up pickleball, or what would be fun, Amy, in your mind?
Well, I think what would be fun to me may be different than what's fun for you.
That's good.
I mean, it's the best year of your life. It's not necessarily, it might not even be fun.
I don't know, trapeze, do
would that make your life
training.
Better?
What?
Would that make your life better?
Yeah, that'd be a challenge,
This is about the best year, though. Not just a challenge. Anything can be a challenge.
And so
what would actually make your life better?
And from my standpoint, making my life better is focusing on my health, my fitness, my mind, my relationships, the creative outlets that I like. Those are things that would make my life better. And to make that consistent and to make my 50th year of life something that really focuses on all these things and integrates that into my daily activity so I can continue on from there. So year 51 is even better than 50, et cetera, et cetera. So was the idea of my challenge. I'm not really sure how sellable it is. I'm glad I didn't write a book on this because there's a lot of M's.
So tell us what those are.
It's a 6M reset.
So tell me the what. So what is it?
Okay, number one, it's called a 6M reset. Okay. And my last name is Martin.
Why not M6?
What? M6 reset.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Smart. I will call it the M6 reset. Okay, that's good.
People are going to be so disappointed with this book, expecting it to be about spies.
Yeah, I know. That's all right. As long as you get the readers.
Exactly.
At this point, it doesn't matter.
Clickbait.
It's about
M6.
hits. Yeah. So the first.
Gotcha.
So the first one. So there's 6 things I want to focus on. I think what I've decided I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of introduce these things sequentially over time, and start focusing on one thing and then keep doing that and then add something else on. So I don't have to do everything at once because I want to make this sustainable.
So this is like the guy playing like 10 musical instruments and he starts with just one.
Yes.
And then he keeps that one, he adds another
Right.
one. He keeps that one, he adds another one.
The idea on this is to use no more than an hour a day to ultimately add these 6M things on. And so
Except sleep. That takes
right, I
at
understand,
least 6
but
hours.
the part of sleep, which when we get to that, is about what you do to make your sleep good, right? So that shouldn't be overly work intensive. So the first thing I want to focus on, Amy. So M1 is mitochondrial energy or mitochondrial functioning. So tell me about the mitochondria. Why are they important?
So the word that you used, mitochondrial energy, they are the energy house of the cell. So
what is the currency of energy? What is that? What's it called?
ATP?
There you go.
Okay, I'm like, am I getting like I wasn't sure where you were going with this. I'm like, I'm going to say ATP because that's where my mind goes.
Right.
This is where Neil should bring in the picture of the Dr. Warren drew of the cell because it has the mitochondria on it. Mitochondria that's where the magic happens, right? Your cell, every cell in your body needs energy. And most cells can produce energy through their mitochondria. There are cells in your body that do not have mitochondria, but most cells do. And that's kind of where they metabolize things and make energy from ATP.
So when you age,
adenosine triphosphate. Right.
So if you're a middle-aged person, there's 2 things that are getting you as you age. Number 1, there's genetic problems that accumulate over time.
Yeah, the proteins start to misfold.
Right. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is the mitochondria. They become less able to make the energy you need. Yep, that's why you can look at someone who's 70 versus someone who's 20 and tell right away, just purely from an energy standpoint, that there's a difference there. Mm-hmm. And the idea of longevity in life, in your best life, is really essentially based on the ability to make energy to supply your body with energy, so for all these activities you want to do, and also to hopefully limit the amount of genetic problems you accumulate over time, which we have no idea how to do that yet. But I mean, maybe in the future we will.
Well, also when your cells get sluggish, think of an old factory, right? It's kind of your old mitochondria.
Yep.
They stop doing some things, right? Like you go to an old factory, right? It's dusty, there's cobwebs, things are falling apart. It can't keep up. Like you can't keep up with the upkeep. It reminds
me of the county hospital I worked at in residency before it got redid.
Yes. Yeah. So that's kind of the same thing.
I felt that way.
all that adds to the kind of the conundrum of aging is not just that, but like then your body's not cleaning things up as well. All those accumulated ages, the end products. I love talking about the ages.
Yeah.
So the advanced glycated end products are all these things that are floating around your body, free radicals, things that your body can't get rid of anymore because it's so focused on trying to just make enough energy to keep your body functioning.
Right.
So
the idea for longevity and health and for all of our lives is to make our mitochondria function the best they can, right? Mitochondria are basically, and I haven't done all my research for my challenge.
Well, you have a whole year.
I have a whole year.
Well, you had 11 months.
But mitochondria are evolutionary leftovers from when we were like single cell organisms, right? Some of the processes in mitochondria are present in all eukaryotes, bacteria and everything.
Yeast,
so it's basically like a trapped bacteria in our body that makes energy. Such an amazing organelle. It's just amazing. So the idea of making your mitochondria more effective and function better is important for all of us for aging and for a healthy life. But people never look at it that way. And I just want to delve into that with my life and add some things on that would support mitochondrial health. What would be some of those things, Amy, from your standpoint?
Oh, the first thing I think of is D-ribose. It's a nutrient essentially that you can take that's a supplement that helps with mitochondrial energy. It kind of feeds the cells what they need. I mean, other things that are going to help is really keeping the rest of your body functioning really well as well. Working out, hyperbaric oxygen, like things that help your body kind of clear out damage are all going to be really powerful for helping your mitochondria
things that we
better.
talked about, like autophagy. Amy and I have talked about fasting. One of the things that fasting can do is really help you kind of reboot that energy system. Taking NAD and all the ones that every guest on Joe Rogan takes, those kind of supplements supposedly can make that energy production process better.
And fasting, I think, is a huge part of this mitochondrial component because, like you said, when you're fasting, the way your body needs energy and uses energy changes. You're not focusing on digestion for several days at least. So that frees up a lot of energy to be used in other things, cleaning up, getting rid of cells. You mentioned the organelles. Like there's a lot of things inside that cell, right? That little jelly inside the cell is full of a lot of things. Those things break down. Those things need to be repaired. So giving your body the chance to really focus on that repair is only going to make the factory work better, makes its job easier, makes it more efficient.
Right. All right. So that's M1.
Okay.
I'm very
M2.
excited about that. I don't know the sequence of these. I don't know if I'm doing mitochondrial health first. I may have to put it in a hat and have Amy pick it out, which would be awesome too. And then everyone could do that, but then never mind. All right. So what's M2, Amy?
Meaningful sleep.
Yeah. Sleep is so essential to longevity because of why, Amy? Why is it important for longevity?
Well, we're going to talk about the microglia later, but you know how I love the lymphatic system. I just give you a
chance to say it.
Lymphatic system.
The lymphatic system.
Clean up, rest.
I think, I can't remember. I think that's the deep sleep where you get this kind of cleansing of the brain. REM is where you get the reinforcement of your memory. That's why, like in college, when you stayed up all night, you can't remember anything because your REM sleep's all messed up. And I think that's how it goes. REM sleep, memory. And those are those cycles of sleep that are very important. And to get into good, deep, and REM cycles, which we have amazing rings or Oura rings, which help us track it, there's a lot of sleep hygiene stuff you have to do. What are some of those things, Amy?
Well, it depends on the person, but for most people...
You don't have to go all Dave Asprey. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on the person. I mean, some people don't struggle. Some people can sleep in a lighted environment half sitting up. Like, look at a toddler. They can sleep anywhere. That's Nils.
Nils.
So the things that are going to be...
Vikings.
For most people, though...
I'm like the exact opposite. I'm so Irish. I was like, oh, it's light outside. We have to make food. You know? And like, you're like, I'm just going to plunder all your food and sleep on your front porch drunk.
The things for most people need for sleep is going to be a dark, quiet, somewhat cool environment. Are kind of the key things.
So temperature we've established. When you fall asleep, lowering your body temperature either naturally or with what's the blanket we have? What's the thing?
Chili.
Chili pad. Lowering that temperature down to a lower total body temperature can help get you into those deeper layers of sleep. Number one.
More importantly, though, with our modern day technology, is getting rid of stressors that prevent you from sleeping, like your phone and artificial light sources, EMF exposure.
Blue light.
Yes, unnecessary notifications on your phone all night long. Like these are all things that disrupt sleep.
Eating earlier. So eating, like if you're going to go to bed at 10, eating at 6 o'clock, exercise is really good. I'm sure fasting probably helps ultimately with your sleep cycles. Stress hormones, stress itself. I mean, what you'll find out with my M6s, they're all interrelated, which is why it's awesome. And that's why they're stackable, like Legos. They stack on each other because they're all interrelated. And you can go from there. Melatonin seems to help some people. Amy, are you a believer in melatonin?
I am so on the fence about melatonin because it's actually a really powerful, like, antioxidant aging, like helps with aging and can help with your immune function. However, there can be, some people can have dependency, even though they say that you can't. I mean, there's a lot of mixed feelings out there about melatonin. I would not at this point recommend that someone rely on melatonin for sleep.
Magnesium, though.
Magnesium, absolutely.
At nighttime.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's because it helps your brain, helps with those nerve firing. It helps with the microglia. Like melatonin doesn't do that. Melatonin kind of is necessary. So your body produces melatonin. So taking more just kind of doubles down on what you've got. I'm not so worried with melatonin that you're going to develop a negative feedback loop. That's not my concern. It's just not.
It's not going to be like Ambien where you sleepwalk and like do crazy things with people and you don't remember it. Is that what you're saying?
It's not. No, I mean a negative feedback loop, meaning your body stops producing.
Have you ever read any of these stories about Ambien? They're like so outrageous.
They're scary.
And they're real.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people do crazy stuff on it. Yeah. So melatonin, my favorite. Amy, what's my favorite? What do I sleep with at nighttime?
Weighted blanket.
A weighted blanket. My little.
What I thought was like the
my little
smothering
papoose.
blanket. Oh, not a fan.
I'm like a little baby. I'm just in a fetal position. I'm like, excuse me, Barb, get out of the way.
Right, like your toe has extended past the halfway
I need
point.
my weight. So there's so many things. And meaningful sleep in terms of building for strength training, in terms of stress hormone reduction, in terms of aging and longevity, maintenance of your brain. Sleep is probably the most important thing you can do. And in America, it's probably our biggest problem.
Yeah, you can go without food for many days, a month. People have gone for longer than that without food. I think the longest a person has survived truly without sleep is like 7 days.
Yeah, and that's what they do to torture people, basically.
Yep. So that's how important it is. Sleep is more important than food on some level. I'm not trying to be a weird internet person. I'm not saying that's not a blanket statement. I'm saying on some level, your body needs sleep more than it needs food on a daily basis. Let's put it that way.
So since this is my challenge, I can divulge personal information, which I usually don't like to do. But literally, I sometimes wake up at 4:45 or 4:30 for certain things. I don't have to set my alarm. I can just think in my head 4:45 and I wake up at 4:45.
Yep.
That's not good. That's like a pathology.
I don't know. Right? I think that's actually really, I mean, that would have helped you out. I mean,
yeah.
But think about that evolutionarily, that would have saved you. That could have saved your family's life. Like having that ability to wake yourself up.
That's good to know now, but there's no saber-toothed tiger coming after me.
But your body doesn't know that. That's what I'm saying. That's a good thing.
So during my challenge, I would like to sleep to 8.
Well, there you go. Tell yourself 8. I would like it if you did not sleep till 8 when you need to be in the office.
So
early.
We had these people visiting.
Please don't sleep till 8. We start surgery at 7:30.
So the first day they were there, by the time they woke up, I had already worked out. I ate my breakfast, had the coffee made, had the house kind of clean. Everything was ready.
So it was like 7:30?
Yeah, it was 7:30. And they're like, oh, man, everything's done. Oh, yeah. But I didn't say what I did. And then the next day, the same thing happened again. And they asked my wife, they're like, what time does Jason wake up? She's like, oh, he wakes up at 5, gets everything done, works out, does all that stuff. Now, the idea of early rise, what was the thing we talked about before?
Being an advanced sleeper?
Advanced sleeper.
I'm an advanced sleeper.
I'm an advanced
sleeper. I got up at 4:15
too.
this morning. I woke up at 3:15 and just got up.
Right. So being an advanced sleeper has its benefits, and also people that are very productive tend to do a lot of work in the morning. So that's a positive thing. So meaningful sleep is my M2.
I like it.
In the interest of time, let's go to M3. This is the one I can't even say.
Right, it's the word you cannot say.
I cannot say it.
We didn't even put it on here.
Harry Potter,
right? Meditation. Meditation didn't even make it on here. We had to go to mindfulness just so you could say it.
And I'm saying the M's because of this word, it starts with an M.
Meditation.
I struggle. Yeah. So mindfulness and
balance.
Right. These are two things that I struggle with a lot. Now, I have a very balanced life. You have to as a surgeon, right? You can't go unbalanced into the OR and operate on people, especially elective surgery that they absolutely don't need, right?
We've known some unbalanced surgeons.
Yeah. Oh, we've known a lot.
Yeah.
So
you can.
When I say balance,
you should not.
Yeah. When I say balance, I don't mean mental status or emotions. I mean life balance, an ability to spread out enjoyment into different areas. I've been thinking. My dad passed away. We were talking about Nils and Sarah's dog passed away. These things happen, and you see, in reality, the way life works. It's these short spurts and then it's gone, right? You don't want, I know this sounds trite, but you don't want to be 70 or 80 and hopefully you live that long and look back and feel like you didn't try lots of things or you didn't diversify yourself enough, right?
Or that all you did is work.
And all you did is work. Now, Amy and I have the fortune of doing, like, our work is our fun.
Like, we love
right?
what we do.
Well, us being here right now is who we are. Like, literally, this is us every day. So that's wonderful, but it doesn't mean that we can't try new things. I have to give Amy credit. She is as probably agoraphobic and weird as I am, but she tries new things. And I want to force myself to do that. So maybe I will do pickleball, even though I think it's the dumbest sport ever.
Don't get injured. Maybe don't.
At the same time,
just try meditation.
Yeah.
I'm less concerned about you hurting yourself meditating than I am.
So meditation or mindfulness is really what I need to focus on, because I have a lot of energy. I wake up in the morning, I do things at night, I do projects, I do art projects, I do business stuff. And, that's who I am. And that's wonderful. That's a real gift. I mean, a lot of people would love to have the energy that I have to be able to do the things. But at the same time, I'm envious of people like my wife who can sit down and drink a cup of coffee and sit there for 15 minutes. It is a wonderful gift to watch her. She seems completely at peace with our two dogs. Maybe the fire's going. This sounds like we're in a cabin somewhere. I'm just telling you, we don't live in a cabin, but it has that feeling. And that's a real gift. And I think all of us, especially now, especially with our lives, our hectic lives, should focus on mindfulness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have a society that has taught us that, like, being non-busy is a bad thing, and then we all have become addicted to phones and have an attention span of a gnat.
And the phones have really reinforced the idea of time, but not in a good way, right? Everything is measurable.
Yeah, they call it doom scrolling for a reason.
Right.
It's not positive.
But you're looking at the time. It's like, oh, now it's 4 o'clock. Now it's 4:15. And I don't think that wristwatches had that same effect, because wristwatches only
just
told
data.
It was just data, but it didn't really draw you in on things. There wasn't stuff to do. There wasn't like a to-do list on your wristwatch.
You aren't looking at your phone to know the time 99% of the time.
But it's still
there, but that's not why you're looking at it.
It creates a sense of compression.
Yes.
That's all related to time. That ultimately, and I have this feeling all the time, that you don't have enough time.
You know what I would like to know? This is part of my challenge to you. How many notifications a day you get on your phone? And of those, how many were actually something you need to be notified about?
I knew that you were going to ask this question.
I mean, hundreds. Your phone sat next to me for like an hour today, and
this is my challenge.
It must have dinged like 30 times.
All right, as part of my mindfulness and life balance, M3.
Turn off all the notifications.
I will go through my
on
notifications and only leave on the ones that matter, like from Kentucky Sports Radio.
Right, because of the notifications that came up on your phone while it was in my possession, none of them were important. Not a single one.
That's a good point.
There were no texts. Your children did not call.
Yeah, I tend to overqualify my notifications because I'm a plastic surgeon, but in reality, you're absolutely right. Like, rare is the time I'm like, oh, this patient needs your help. So
right, and so then what happens is that then you don't see any notifications because you're so bombarded with all the notifications you've gotten that you become numb to them. Like, you literally don't even, how could you even get through them all?
Yeah.
I find it challenging. Like, I'm not.
Are you saying that I'm comfortably numb?
Right? You have become comfortably numb, perhaps? I mean,
I wish we could play that song.
For me, like, it gets
10 seconds. No.
Overwhelming. Like, even if I have, like, if I've had my phone, like, not on me all day, if we've been in a long case or something, or I've just been really busy with patients, and I come back and, there might be even like 5 notifications. I find that very overwhelming. So, like, your phone causes me severe anxiety. Yeah. And the fact that it doesn't cause you anxiety means you're just numb to it.
But if you don't think, well, you know how much I listen to you. You're the reason I put the phone away from my bed, right?
Which is good.
You're the reason that I really focus on whole foods. I mean, you changed my life. Like, you 100% changed it for the better. So the notification thing, for someone who's very active brained, I need to work through that too.
Yeah, like maybe Apple News doesn't need to be popping up every 10 seconds.
That's a very good point.
With salacious headlines. All right. Sorry.
That's right.
Off on a tangent. See, there's a lot to be done with mindfulness. You should not be afraid of meditation.
And we're only at M3. Now we're on to M4. Amy, this is my favorite one. What is M4?
You want to go to the gun show?
Yeah, let's go. Gun show.
Gun show. Muscle and more muscle.
And then more muscle.
More muscle.
Yeah.
More. Pushies and pulleys.
Yeah.
Even more muscle.
So strength training changed my life. I think it can change everyone's life. When I say strength training, I don't mean muscle or body composition. That's for you.
I have said this many times that muscle is the organ of longevity.
Right.
It absolutely is.
You can look up the data, right? So everyone's focusing on insulin and glucose. If you just
You know
increase
what makes your insulin sensitivity better? Muscle mass.
dumbass.
The
Okay?
number one thing that increases your
Yeah,
insulin
so you
sensitivity.
can like wear the stupid thing on your arm, which I may do this year, just
the
'cause-
CGM.
Yeah, and to track your blood glucose, or why don't you just put more muscle on, right? Because that's where all those glucose products go. They can live in your
use
muscle.
that glycogen.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just so idiotic. Like it's very simple. Maintain strength, maintain balance and agility. This is how you age better. If you're going to be 50 or 40 or 30, focus on those things. Focus on things that are tangible that you can change for yourself, right? Wearing a glucose monitor 24 hours a day and tracking that on an app, albeit sounds really cool to me, you're doing nothing with that information no matter what you think.
Even if you do something with it, is that really what you should be focusing on?
I know I'm sure that whoever randomly watches this could be like, well, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
No,
but,
I mean, if you have a genetic condition, I mean, it might provide you with data that's
I'm not
useful.
talking about people with diabetes.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Even for someone who doesn't, like,
or
if you
even
just,
like metabolic syndrome or something. I'm talking about like a non-diabetic, healthy, active person. I think the first place to start would be on putting on muscle and strength training versus micromanaging your blood glucose level with nutrition with really no endpoint. So the benefit of putting on muscle is it has real benefits to your longevity, real benefits to functionality. It also, makes you look better. That's not the most important thing, but it sure does help. Helps clothes fit better for guys. For women, all that the crap
helps clothes fit better for women.
all that crap you hate on your legs, you just, tone up your legs a little bit. It's way better. Your butt, way better. Arms, way better. So I think we've talked about this 1,000 million times. We don't have to beat it down, but I mean, strength training, I think, is a key to making your life better. I really believe that. And again, it's not for weightlifting or all the stuff you see on the internet, which Amy and I support.
Right. Like, good luck being a bodybuilder. Nils, I'm going to send you the link so that you can put a picture here of a fabulous YouTube video that is the evolution of the lifting man. This will not happen to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a very funny video.
Maybe my funniest video, like, there are a handful of videos on YouTube that I will listen, like, if I'm having a bad day or I'm sad about something, that I will watch. An evolution of the body of the lifting man. Oh, Dom Mazzetti, you are in my top 5.
There was a video lately like that, which was like, it was an older man talking about this graph, and it was like, if you F around, you find stuff out or something like that. It was the same idea. And the more you F'd around, the more you found out. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
F around and find out.
Yeah. It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, strength training, focusing on muscle mass, focusing on body composition has so many benefits. By the way, working out, especially strength training, helps sleep.
Helps your neurological function, helps your mitochondrial function.
It also, they've shown that people that work out, especially with strength training, have more mental stability, right?
Happier.
As a woman, you feel more stable, you feel stronger, you feel more grounded. Like, these are positive, empowering things. So
How do you feel as a man?
I'm not really sure I'm a man anymore. I've worked with so many women. I'm surrounded by women all the time.
You know what I love? I used to
be a man. I used to be like real man.
So there's a really awesome research article that came out, and they've done similar studies in the past, but looking specifically at men and testosterone levels, like how to increase testosterone in men. And it doesn't work in women, but it works in men. Even just telling a man that they won something, like, let's say you're like competing with me, right?
Yeah.
And we're like spelling words because I'm so good at that.
Yeah.
If Nils said, Dr. Martin, you won, even if you didn't, your testosterone would go up.
Like my neck.
Yeah, you were number one. But it's so
my
interesting.
own personal nutritional exam, and I won it.
Yeah. But I think that they were talking about bodybuilders, like specifically with lifting, if you could like lift heavier, like those things all increase testosterone in men. So like for men specifically, like,
I haven't even talked about the hormone benefits of lifting weights and muscle mass and reducing fat.
And all of that helps your brain.
Right. Aromatase, conversion of testosterone to estrogen to testosterone, and its relationship to fat and body composition. So there's so many different things that weightlifting and basically resistance training offer you.
Yeah. Well, and for life, I mean, if you want to know why you want to put on as much muscle as you can as early in your life as possible, go to an old folks home and see what sarcopenia does to people.
Yeah.
Like, it is devastating.
My biggest fear is sarcopenia. I mean, my biggest fear should be cancer, because that's what kills people. Obviously, I'm fearful of that, but sarcopenia is the second one.
Yeah. And that just, it makes the end of your life really unpleasant.
And I'm just hoping that Parkinson's and Alzheimer's is cured before I get.
You got some stuff coming up to help with that too.
Okay.
You got
All
some other M's.
Let's do M5. We don't want to waste too much time here.
Macro and micronutrients.
Yeah, I just put this on for you, right? Because I didn't even know what a macro was or a micronutrient before I met you.
You thought, oh, this is one of my favorite Dr. Martin stories. And this is going back a long time.
Now, I'm an intelligent person before she tells the story.
He's a medical doctor.
I graduated at the top of my class.
How much medical school or how much nutrition training did you get in medical school? You told me once that there was one class offered, not even a whole class, like literally one class, and you skipped it.
Biochemistry was like talking about nutrition, but it had nothing to do with the nutritional part.
Right, cellular nutrition.
It had everything to do with the liver.
Right.
You know, so
Cells.
this is where fat's processed, or this is where glucose is made. So.
Yeah. So you just started tracking macros, and you had a chicken breast, just a chicken breast, no skin, no nothing, nothing else on it. And you said, how many carbs are in this chicken breast? And I said, none. And you said, no, there's got to be some. There's got to be some. Like, nope, there are none. And then we were having a conversation about carbs, and like you were eating a lot of broccoli, and you're like, well, what should I track this as? I'm like, well, it's mostly carbs. There's some protein. Like, there's no carbs. It's broccoli. I'm like, carbs, and some protein. But carbs, like vegetables are primarily carbs, not a ton, but they are carbs.
I feel like Martin Short in that SNL clip when he says, I'm not a strong swimmer. Yeah, has that feeling to it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Nils. That was only for Nils. Sorry. Can't show that because that's inappropriate now. But anyways, I was deficient when it came to nutrition.
Well, because you were never taught it. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people think because you're a doctor and you're a brilliant doctor at that you somehow just innately knew this. You did not.
Our coach we're working with now, he said, you and I probably have very similar approaches to nutrition. That's really nice. That's what he said. And I wrote back, I was like, that's great. I mean, I really appreciate what you're saying, but that's absolutely not true. Is like, I've learned nutrition from people like you, like him and you. Because it's not taught in medical schools. Western medicine does not emphasize eating whole foods and what micro and macronutrients can do for your body and health. Yeah. It does not emphasize it. What do they emphasize, Amy?
Well, and studies make it even worse. I mean, you look at nutritional studies and they focus, they claim to be focusing on a macro or a micronutrient, and it's not. I think the studies on meat are a key example. They look at processed meat and then say it's bad for you. Well, yeah, it absolutely is. Like, you should not be eating a ton of lunch meat and bologna, but like eating a grass-fed steak, completely different health outcomes. Like, all things in nutrition are not created equal, and that's where food sourcing, and there again, we had this conversation when we very first signed up with Paul, and we were going to interview him, Paul Revelia. We have a great podcast from years ago where we talked to Paul Revelia. And Dr. Martin asked like what I thought the most important thing with eating was. And I said, food sourcing. And you're like, no, that can't be it. I'm like, it absolutely is. Because that's where the micro and macronutrients really come into play. Even with, we see as
because like, it's even as weird as like, if you say lunch meats, okay, that's a good example. Mm-hmm. If you go to whatever grocery store, this is say Whole Foods, even though I hate to rep Whole Foods, and you want lunch meat and you can take a smoked turkey breast, maybe smoked's not great, but I like smoked turkey breast. And they slice it right there.
Right. It's a whole turkey breast.
It's a whole turkey.
Right. It's not like compressed meat.
But people will automatically say, well, I shouldn't have lunch meat, right? It's the way it's prepared, right?
Well,
it's
sourced. It's the sourcing of it.
The sourcing of it too. Yeah. So you've totally converted me on that. And I think that I have a long way to go with really emphasizing macro and micronutrients.
And that's where protein also, with muscle building. I mean, every decade of life, you need about 10 more grams of protein at least per decade just to have the same amount of muscle protein synthesis be activated.
So if you think about, I'm 195 pounds, I need to eat 150 to 160 grams of protein a day.
At minimum.
Yeah.
At minimum. That's like the minimum. That you should never go below that.
Right. So
there really is, the threshold for protein can go much higher, especially if you are trying to build muscle.
But at higher levels, the anabolic benefit of protein diminishes. And so you can have an anabolic benefit of carbohydrates for a lot of different reasons that you and I have discussed. So in reality, but just putting that perspective, 150 grams of protein, what is that in chicken breast a day?
If you were just to eat it in chicken breast, 4 ounces of chicken has about 20 to 25 grams of protein.
Yeah, so 25, so that's 5, 4, 6. So 6.
And this is a non-hormone injected protein.
Yeah,
a giant chicken breast that's like 7 ounces is going to be bigger than that, or 8 ounces.
6 chicken breast.
Yeah.
That's
like
crazy.
that's not that much. But I think this is where protein gets somewhat vilified, and it shouldn't. Like you should absolutely, if you care about any of these other things, like you should absolutely be optimizing your protein intake. And that does not mean eating the minimum, which is what Dr. Martin is talking about. That is the minimum.
And it gets vilified because of like this whole debate with being vegan or not. There's a lot of reasons that people are vegan. There's ethical reasons. There's environmental reasons. There's a lot of things going on. The ethical thing, I'm totally fine with. The environmental one, I could probably argue with you. Anyone that eats meat and raised, correctly.
I will tell you this: if there were no meat eaters, our
Right.
ecosystem would fail.
You're right. So
100% would fail. What do you think your broccoli was fed?
right. So
Beef.
But the interesting thing about it is ultimately you'll get like a MD, like a cardiologist, and they'll say, oh, you should eat vegan because the data shows you have less, right? You can eat lean meats. That technically is probably healthier than a lot of these vegan type of meals.
You can eat fatty meats. Just don't eat lunch
No,
meat.
I'm just saying. And then
Dr. Martin, I can't have these vegan discussions with you. I don't know why you do this to me.
I know.
There is nothing else that infuriates me more.
Oh, I
and
know.
then when you say doctors, because you know what people think?
Oh, I
they
know.
think doctor knows everything.
I know.
That's why people do this. And that's why those studies that they quote that are so
Are
flawed.
you feeling kind of mad right now?
I just don't know why we're here again.
You triggered it again.
It's so easy. I got
like,
you at the palm of my
The fact
hands.
that you're propagating this now. So people listening to this be like, Dr. Martin said that you should be vegan because you're going to have less
No,
heart
I don't-
attacks.
No, but the point is, I think that it's like as you said about food sourcing, it's about food choices. It's about
Please don't be vegan. If you think you want to be a vegan, like reach out to me, please.
there's ethical reasons that people want to be vegan, which you have to support. There's no way around that. You cannot say that they're wrong for saying that if that's what they believe. It's like saying that you can't be, whatever religion or something like that. So
Right. I'm not saying you should not be vegan if you think that you're, but let's look at the rest of your life and everything else and the way that we function
thank
in
you.
a society.
That's my point. And also the rest of your diet too. Like you can eat vegan and eat the most unhealthy meals, which includes Oreos, okay, and Taco Bell probably. Or
because there's
It's
seriously
like
there's
such a
actually no
joke.
meat in Taco Bell.
And you can eat red meat and it could be the healthiest meal you've ever had, so but macro and micronutrients, the M5, that's a big part of it. That's the base of everything we do: metabolism, diet, building, and autophagy too. So all right, what's our M6? What's the last one? This is my favorite. This is the thing I want to focus on. As we've talked about before, I lost my dad in 2022 to Parkinson's disease, and that was really hard to watch. They don't really know the reason why people get Parkinson's disease. There's a genetic component, only like 6%. And I've never tested myself, which is really funny. I think
Didn't your functional health doctor, he didn't test for that?
No.
Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
surprised by that. He
Yeah.
tested for everything else.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
He tested.
That's
I was like, why are we testing
right.
for this?
Again, functional medicine.
What is this really telling us?
Yeah.
Information. I'm like, okay, good.
Like, so
that you
want me to
can
get
apply to your life. Yeah,
We get the pneumonia vaccine, but you're going to tell me if I have a genetic predisposition to Parkinson's.
exactly.
Fair.
But Parkinson's and all these neurodegenerative diseases are on the rise. Now, some of that's we're living longer, but there's other things going on. Like, why is this occurring? Why are we getting more and more of this? Alzheimer's. My wife's mom passed away from Alzheimer's. It was devastating to watch. Why is there more Alzheimer's going on? Or is it because we're more unhealthy? People are, having problems with diabetes and high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and this is leading to these degenerative diseases. They don't really know.
Well, if you look back to Pottinger's cats, which I like to bring up just about as much as I like to talk about the lymphatic system.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is microglia neuroplasticity is the
yeah.
M we're on.
M6.
All of these things, our bodies are really awesome at tolerating the position that they're in. We are highly adaptable. So you can put people in the desert, you can put people in the Arctic. Our bodies are very good about dealing with stuff. However, when you have continual insult over multiple generations, that's when you start to see things. So why are we seeing more of, let's say, childhood obesity? Is it really because our diets are that bad? Are we eating too much processed food? Well, then let's also look at the mother. Well, so then the mother was obese. Maybe her mother was obese. Now we have this history of obesity. All these things compound. I love the story of people who are like, oh, it's fine. My grandpa smoked and drank every day of his life and lived to be 90. Great. What did that do to your DNA?
Yeah,
He
no
passed that drinking, smoking DNA onto you, and now
My
you have
granddad
asthma.
had emphysema, was smoking with oxygen in his nose.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, you're going to catch the whole place on
So you
fire.
see the people like smoking through their trach.
And I was in medical school. He goes, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, Granddad, I'm in medical school.
You're going to
Like,
blow the
literally.
house up.
I know this now.
Yes. So
This is not good.
these things, if you look at Pottinger's cats, they fed cats a denatured diet, and there's thoughts about the ethicalness of this, and this study was done many, many years ago, but what it showed was how things progress through the genetic line. You know, when you study animals, which we have talked a lot about on our podcast before, like why animals are used in study, because you can actually study their entire life cycle. You can study generations of animals, where with humans, that's very hard to do because you can't raise all humans in a cage. And even if you did, all you would have is data on that one cage patient. So when you say like these things are arising more and more, you know, that's where I always go back to, what are the things you can do that we know do not harm us, right? When was the last time in the history of humans that we were exposed to EMFs to the extent we're exposed to them now? Blue light.
Yes.
You know, things that now are part of everyday life.
And I think that's the ultimate problem with neurodegenerative diseases is because it's multifactorial. There's epigenetics involved. There's lifestyle. There's teratogens. She didn't even talk about that.
Actual
all
genetics,
the stuff you get from the environment. We're living longer. We have more unhealthy lives. All the M's we talked about, mitochondrial energy,
We're not getting deep sleep.
Yeah. I mean, muscle mass. Like they're probably all interrelated, which creates this tsunami, which ultimately results in something like Alzheimer's and maybe even Parkinson's.
Yeah. MS. I mean, the rates of MS.
I mean, just baseline inflammation. People that are more inflammatory have higher incidence of these problems.
Yeah. So, when you were a kid, how many kids did you know had an autoimmune condition?
When I was a kid, I don't think they even checked us medically.
Right. I mean, I've told the story that I went
They're
to
like, are you sick? Just go to your room.
Right.
Right. The RM6, which is something that I think Amy should focus on this year too, is microglia, which is Amy's favorite word. That's why I just put it in there, and neuroplasticity. So we get a lot of neuroplasticity reinforcement in plastic surgery. Sarah, who does our slides, gets a lot of that because she does a creative outlet for work. So does Nils, our producer. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. So I get a lot of neuroplasticity. But for me, again, remember all of our M's are interrelated. Neuroplasticity activities makes me relaxed. It's a mindfulness thing for me to do something that uses my brain that's quiet and calms things down, right? So I think that rebuilding those pathways, focusing on things that are net positives for your brain are really good.
And reducing like inflammation. I mean,
what's supportive of the microglia, Amy? One of my M's.
Sleep.
That's where you deep cleanse the brain, as we talked about in the deep sleep. Last night I got 2 hours of deep sleep.
Dang.
I know. I was
good.
flexing when I woke up.
Yeah,
I was like talking to my puppies. I was like, yeah, I got 2 hours of deep sleep. What'd you get? Yeah.
Slay the day.
They didn't care. So I think microglia and neuroplasticity are probably, if you're talking about living longer, are probably the best things you can do for longevity, to be honest with you.
Well, and all of these things, not only, I mean, longevity is great, and we've talked about this before, but it comes at a cost, right? You don't want to just live long to live long. You want to live healthy. And that's the health span versus lifespan.
Article, the oldest lady in the world just said she was 118.
Right. How many of those years were good for her?
Right.
You know, for a lot of people, especially centenarians, like they actually are very healthy into their 9th decade of life. And they have a very sudden drop off versus what we see now more so in Western society, that your disease state might start in your teens, especially like you look at an obese child. When did their disease state start? At 5, when they were morbidly obese. You know, that's very different from the person who lived to be 98, was super healthy, and then died at 100. You know, I look at my grandmother is very much like that. Like she lived to be 99. 95 of those years were pretty freaking good. She was still driving a car. I mean, she still did very many things, lived alone till then, you know, and had a very sudden period of death, essentially, of time of dying, where if you take your last healthy day before you were diagnosed with anything, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and that was where your health span ended, that's a long time to live in a diseased state. Could be 50, 70 years of your life. So putting that off as long as possible. I mean, even look at your dad. How old was he when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's?
60.
Right. And he died at 78. So he had 18 years of being in a diseased state. You know, that's a long time.
Yep.
You know, and I think that to me, all of these things are things that are going to put that off, right? Stave off sarcopenia, keep your neuroplasticity like functioning, keep your mitochondria healthy, be mindful, like enjoy your health span.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, what's all that?
Why live to 85 when you have no functionality?
Right, and you're frail and you're in a wheelchair and you can't use the bathroom by yourself. Like, is that what you want your life to be like? I don't want that. Right.
I mean, sometimes you can't avoid it. I mean, it's the way it goes, but
the things you can do to make that health span as long as possible are far more powerful to me than just lengthen your life artificially.
And all these things, I mean, obviously I'm going to do the special stuff. I'll do the hyperbaric oxygen.
Oh, well, here. Expert help input needed.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to make these things happen?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different things I'm going to do. Number one, I'm starting back with coaching. Going to do a nutritional plan, do a whole resistance training periodization plan. I'm going to do, well, there's so many things I'm going to do. Do we have to go through all of them?
No, I'm just the sum.
Yeah.
Like, where do you think you need help? Where would you reach out for help that you don't have?
Oh yeah,
maybe
for
planned?
sure with resistance training and nutrition.
Okay. What else?
I think also when it comes to mindfulness, I can do that on my own.
You don't need someone to nag you? Come on.
All right.
This is where like then the thing comes in, like he did not do it on his own.
Yeah. I actually thought about doing a mindfulness coach.
Yeah, they exist. I mean, even just that book that I read
Yeah.
at the end of 2021 that Canyon recommended, or that that he was recommended to him, was about mindfulness, and that was
Right.
very helpful. It had the audio things that you could listen along with. I mean, even starting with something simple, and then see where you go from there. Maybe.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hyperbaric is a great one. The studies
Definitely
on,
doing hyperbaric too.
Yeah, the studies on
I'm going to
hyperbaric.
increase the length of my telomeres. That's going to make a difference.
Well, you can't maybe lengthen them, but you can stop them from falling off.
I'm going to lengthen them. I'm different.
Start taking telomerase.
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Just be my emotional support, Amy.
You don't want me to like jump up and down like the Hulk because someone
No.
brought up veganism?
No, and you. I think for both of our challenges, we need to hold each other accountable. too.
Absolutely. That's kind of the point. I mean, this is literally what we're talking about
Yeah.
it.
Sarah's too nice, so Sarah's not going to hold us accountable. Nils, I think he would hold us accountable, but he's also kind of nice too. So
He is nice, but he's got his limits.
yeah, he does.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. How can our audience help?
I'm not sure how they can help, but I think that if you have any suggestions on my M6s and what I can do, please send it in. So that's what my hesitance is. I'm going to sit down and really work through all this kind of stuff. And then I'll report back to you guys. Are we going to do that over the year?
Yes,
Is that the
we
plan?
are.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Keep checking in.
Yeah, so then I will report exactly what I'm doing. And then probably at some point I'll put it on our website or a YouTube video or something. So you can have that information and see what I did. And I think that would be really helpful. The cool thing about this is if you start with this kind of foundation, and we had Ryan Doris on a long time ago and he talked about Maslow's triangle.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same idea with this, the hierarchy of need. You can start with this foundation and work your way up that pyramid.
Who was that guy? Mihai or something?
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi.
There you go.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
his name,
Yeah.
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And I can't remember. He was at University of Chicago, but I think he was the one that did the. Was he the one that did the data on if you make anything over 2 times the poverty limit of what you make, happiness does not go up. So that equates to, like, I guess the poverty limit is probably around 30, so it's like $60,000. Anything over $60,000, you're not any happier.
Well, that's not true anymore. I think that level is actually 150 is what I recently read.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's out of date. But hey, that inflation, and that was probably 50
Well, I
years
mean,
ago.
Elon
That
Musk has
research.
a lot of money, and then he bought Twitter, and that was a big mistake for him. So
He still has a lot of money.
yeah,
Yeah.
he probably doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So those are good.
Good.
You got anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, we're going to go to break and we're going to come back. Mine is very short.
Yeah, I'm sorry how long that took. I wasn't trying to be self-indulgent.
No,
It makes me actually feel bad
this is the best year of
because I'm not
your
that
life.
person. I know I'm not that guy.
I'm not that guy. You're.
I mean, it's weird for me even to
maybe
talk
that
about
guy.
myself. It's like it makes me uncomfortable. And then the idea that I'm so indulgent that I would get a mindfulness effing coach.
Maybe just read a book. All right. Let's hear a word from our
Okay,
sponsors.
just real quick. Me reading a book. I mean, literally, I read a page and fall asleep.
Maybe you need to work on your mindfulness.
Oh, okay.
Let's get checked.
Let's get you.
Dr. Martin, I'm super excited to talk about our sponsor for this podcast, Let's Get Checked. If you've been a listener of our podcast, you know that we have never had a sponsor before, and that's because we're an educational podcast. We're not looking to monetize, and we also would never recommend something that we didn't believe in and or use ourselves.
So basically, you're saying we're very choosy.
We're very choosy
Yeah.
when we come to our testing, but Let's Get Checked really aligns with our values. We talk a lot about monitoring your blood values of certain things. We talked recently about vitamin D serum levels. We talk a lot about hormone levels, and it's hard for some people to get to a lab, or you're afraid of the blood draw, or just, you're concerned about confidentiality. Like you have a lot of concerns and you just don't do it. Let's Get Checked makes it super easy because it's completely confidential. You do it from your home. So there's really no excuse not to do it.
Yeah, and we did it recently. Both Amy and I did it. She looked at her women's health, basically her hormone levels, and I looked at mine on the men's health side with testosterone. It was very simple. You go online. Their online interface is really easy to use and good. We got the testing kit very quickly. And the test itself, actually doing the stick, you do a stick on the end of your finger, is not hard to do. It only took about 3 to 4 minutes. You put it back in a sealed envelope that's confidential, goes back to them. You get your results in 2 to 5 days. It's really that simple. And the best part is it's about empowerment, about you taking control and trying to do things that are positive for your health and life. And this is one way to do it literally from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah, so they offer a wide range of tests. So they do men's and women's hormone panels. They do a full panel of STD testing. They also are now offering a COVID-19 test at home. So there are a lot of other just basic blood levels that you can get tested as well. And one of the things that we always say is you can't track what you don't check. So you might not know what's normal for you in the future if you're not checking it now, especially as it relates to hormones. And men's health specifically, I feel like is a little bit undertreated. I mean, sperm counts are dropping by a large percentage in men these days. Most men struggle at some point in their lifetime with low testosterone.
And those men do not know what the symptoms of low testosterone are. Depression, anxiety, sleep problems, osteopenia or loss of bone, loss of muscle, and something we treat all the time, gynecomastia or male breast growth. These are real problems that can be improved or treated with testosterone. And these men do not know their levels. It's so easy to get checked. And this is why we're so excited about the sponsor.
Yeah. And Let's Get Checked is a completely CLIA certified lab, the CLIA lab. So they're a well-established, completely safe lab to use. You do get contacted after, so you get your results. I got a text at 4:30 in the morning, which I loved, that my results were ready.
And we're both up at 4:30,
yep,
so that was good.
Super excited. And you have access to not only a nurse, but also a physician. So a physician does review your results, and it gives you a little breakdown of like where you're sitting on those levels. Dr. Martin's had even comparisons of like where two of the levels should be in relation to each other, which is a really important thing to note.
Right.
Just being within the normal range is not always enough. So it really gave more information than that. You'd still want to, of course, reach out to your own doctor if you needed some additional assistance with these labs or you did see something that was concerning. We didn't, thankfully, so that was good.
Yeah. We were both good. This podcast is about empowerment. It's educational. In my private practice, I'm a board certified plastic surgeon. We are all about empowerment, and this is one way to do it. So we're very excited about the sponsorship, and we're looking forward to using it for our patients moving forward.
Yeah. So as a listener of our podcast, if you're also a new time user to Let's Get Checked, which a lot of you probably are, we do have a 20% discount code. So you do need to go to our specific URL, and it is linked in the description box below, but it's going to be TryLGC, so TRYLGC, like Let's Get Checked.com/beauty, BEAUTY. And you'll need to use the code BEAUTY20 at checkout. Beauty again is BEAUTY 220. And you can pick a test, like any test you'd like, put in our code and get your test shipped to you. Getting tested is the right thing to do. It's let you know where you're at and what's responsible.
All right. Well, let's get tested.
Let's get tested. Let's get checked.
Let's get checked.
We're back. All right. So we're going to talk about my challenge. And this is...
I know. My challenge took forever.
No,
I'm
your
still
challenge is
feeling bad
big.
about it.
It's your year. Like, I'm only doing a challenge to support you.
About you, man.
Yeah.
This
is your best year, not mine. This is yours.
Does that mean I get another bobblehead or?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe if you do your challenge. No.
Yeah.
So my challenge, look at that.
Oh, beautiful picture of
That's
Amy.
me.
Look on the YouTube channel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. That's Amy. If you've never seen me
beautiful
before.
eyes, beautiful smile.
Oh, thank you.
You have a very long forehead though, Amy.
I have a 5 head.
Yeah.
I got a lot of real estate up there. So
Yeah.
my challenge is one that is big, right? This is a really huge thing, and it's somewhat scary and nerve-wracking for me to share this to like the public at large. So please be kind. So my challenge, my what, when, and why. My what is that I want to do a photo shoot. So I would like to do a fitness style photo shoot. My when.
What does that mean?
So Instagram pics of like fitness people. Yeah, like
Oh my
on a
God.
rock in the desert somewhere. I see if Jeff will take the pictures of like go
Yeah.
to Moab or something and do some like really cool
Oh, that's
shots.
so nerve-wracking.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
so
Can you
nerve-wracking.
do a calendar?
Oh my gosh.
An Amy calendar.
Maybe a surgeon Amy
We
calendar?
can
Wouldn't
do-
that be funny if like you had pictures of Amy, like fitness pictures, and I'm sitting in the background with my scrubs on, like, hey.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if there is
Like
enough
a-
interest,
like a little fuzzy in the back, the foreground.
right? We actually could. We could definitely do a calendar if there's enough interest. So if people are interested in a Beauty and the Surgeon calendar, we could add my photo shoot pictures to it. My when is undetermined. So I am working with a coach, which I'll talk about on the next slide. I'm not set a time limit on myself. It'll happen this year of 2023, but it'll be when my body is where I want it to be and when it's actually ready. I'm not going to force it. So
Yeah, if it goes 2024, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't have to be in this calendar year, right?
it does for the challenge.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, if for some reason something goes haywire, I mean, I'll talk about it.
We've already
but-
established that you were like the most Caucasian person we've ever met. If you do this thing in December, you're you're not going to see your body. You're just going to see this white glow.
Well, that's why tanning exists. I'll get the Oompa Loompa, I'll get the spray tan,
the
like
spray
the comp,
tan? Okay.
the comp prep tan.
Gotcha.
My why is because it's something I've kind of always wanted to do. And I have a lot of friends who compete, who are bikini competitors or figure competitors, and they always do photo shoots around the time they compete. And it's really cool, like to see these pictures of them. It's a moment in time, and none of us are getting any younger, and that's my why.
Yeah.
So my expert help input needed is huge. So I actually just signed up with Dr. Joe Clemzeski. I practice this. Klemzeski. It's less complicated than it looks. It is spelled
We all know him
crazy.
as Joe. Everyone calls him Joe.
Dr. Joe.
Dr. Joe.
Yeah, and Team
Yeah.
K. So
Yeah.
he actually was Lane Norton's first coach. He is an amazing skilled coach, but also he has 4 master's degree and 2 doctorates.
Very smart.
Yeah, he is so smart, and I feel so very blessed to be working with him. So you can find his info in the link in the description box, but it's the Diet Doc. It's diet not in the way that like he's only for weight loss. Like he literally trains champions to be on stage, and he has agreed to train me to do this photo shoot. So one of the things when you're getting ready for a photo shoot or a competition of any kind that's showing a lot of your body, because like I said, it will be a fitness style photo shoot. You want to make sure that like you're balanced, right? And those are things that it gets hard when you've done your own training for a lot of years. And like I've been lifting weights for a really long time. You kind of get in you lift the same way, you do the same things.
There's a reason that you go to your plastic surgeon and say, hey, what do
Yeah.
you think about this? Because it's really hard to judge yourself.
It's hard to look at
right?
yourself. And I think he was trying to kill me with today's workout. So good job, Dr.
Yeah.
Joe. It was awesome. I told him I like working glutes and shoulders. And at the end, I could barely walk and I could hardly lift my arms. So good times.
That's when you know you did it right.
Oh my gosh. I seriously was like, I had an easy bar and it was it went to like almost the top rung. And I'm like,
Yeah.
can I like get it up there? Yeah. So I am super excited to be working with Dr. Joe. Highly recommend following him. You can find him on social media at the Diet Doc, and he does amazing podcasts.
His podcast is amazing.
The Diet Doc
His
podcast.
social media feed is amazing.
Educational.
It's very
Yeah.
educationally driven, which is our ethos. This is why we're doing this godforsaken podcast, is so we can get real information out there besides my whole life challenge. But the for you, if you're interested in nutrition, resistance training, body functioning, body composition, like he's the person to follow.
Yeah,
and
and
he like literally he's either mentored or trained like all the people that you may follow already.
Yeah,
So
he is the godfather. I mean, he really is.
Dr. Joe is the godfather.
He is the person I learned about macros from. I did not know about this concept many, many, many years ago when I started.
Oh, you didn't know about it before?
Like 15 years ago? No, I did not. I was raised in the era of eat no fat, and just do tons of Jane Fonda cardio.
Oh, the 90s were all those Edamins, or what was the Edamins?
No, it was a smart something.
No,
Those fat-free cookies.
Yeah, everything was like fat-free, but
Yeah.
it was
The
Do you know-
froyo.
yeah, like they made a bunch of pastries and everything was fat.
Entenmann's makes not
Entenmann's.
fat-free pastries.
Whatever. Maybe I'm mixing the name.
Smart
But
Life.
everything was fat-free, but it was all like super sugary.
Oh yeah,
It
people.
was
I had
like
a friend who
1,000
would.
million grams of carbs.
She would eat bags of Twizzlers and like throw it down with Diet Coke because it was fat free, and like fat free meant it would do nothing to you.
Because
So
fat will really hurt you,
right.
Amy.
So I was aware of what of macros, but actually like macro tracking. I still remember when like Tyler was actually the one who introduced me to Dr. Joe, and I was having some conversation with Tyler about like protein, and I was like just doing a scoop, and he's like, "You don't weigh it," and I'm like, tell me your ways, magic man. So yeah, like now I literally don't even have measuring cups in my house or measure. I weigh everything. I weigh my coffee beans in the morning. I do 30 grams of coffee and 500 grams of water. Like I literally weigh everything. And that all came from what he learned from Dr. Joe.
Yep.
So amazed. Like I said, I'm so excited. I'm really excited. And I'm kind of nervous. And that's where this is where you say, Dr. Martin.
How can I help?
So you can help by just being there to support me.
I'm nervous as hell that this is going on. Like I am full of anxiety right now, and I am not an anxiety-ridden person. Secondly, I hate people knowing crap about me. The fact that you're putting pictures out of yourself, I hate the fact that we have to put pictures of me everywhere. But that's the business we're in, Like I have to process this, but I think I'm super pumped up for you.
Yeah. So when I do
This is way more This is way more adventurous than pickleball. Let me just say that.
Well, this is way more bigger stakes. So yes, you can help.
I mean, let's talk about this real quick. So number one, you're amazing. Secondly, you have an immense amount of resilience. You're like one of the most resilient and borderline bullheaded.
For good or bad.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's probably mostly bad.
Yeah, it is. Okay. But that's good. We can use your pathology to our advantage.
Oh
here.
yeah, it works real well.
Did I say you got Dr. Joe on your side? Did I already say that?
You did not say that.
Okay, you got Dr. Joe. That's a big thing.
That is a huge thing.
Yeah. Everyone needs a Dr. Joe. Number one, you got the pressure of the internet weighing over your shoulder.
That's also rather large.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can do this. You can. I'm so proud of you. You can do this. And like, I totally agree with you. Like, anyone listening to this, like that feeling that, you only live once and this is your time. Do it.
Right.
Do it. Because we all the time, and I know it's a little microcosm here, but we get people come in, they're like, I wish I would have done my eyelids 10 years ago. I wish I would have done my breast augmentation 15 or my tummy tuck. And you feel that, you can feel from that sense of remorse of time lost. You don't want to lose time. Like, this is your time. And if this is something that stimulates you, it'll definitely make you get in better shape. It'll help you achieve your goals probably faster. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that.
I'm thinking about my 6M challenge. Like, how do I hold myself? I think you were saying this to me earlier. How do I hold myself accountable? Because that photo shoot is like, what?
Yeah.
We may have to add something onto my 6M challenge.
Oh, maybe you do the photo shoot with me.
Oh God, no.
For the calendar. We're getting Nils in there too.
Yeah. I could come out with like a Speedo on, What do they wear? What do the guys wear on photo shoots like that? Do they wear board shorts? Please tell me they wear board shorts.
Well, like when in men's competition, like men's figure and like physique, they wear board shorts.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
God.
it's so not fair. So not fair. So how can the audience help? Well, I mean, that's where please give me some kindness and grace. Be nice. I'm a real human. I have real feelings, and I'm really not perfect, and I don't think I am. This is not me.
Shut down the comments on that one.
I'm not doing a photo shoot because I want people to tell me I look good. I'm literally doing it for myself because I want these pictures, not because I want to put them on social media. Like, it's not for anyone else to look at. Like, it literally is for me to be able to look back and be like, wow, in 2023, I did that.
Yeah.
And that was all me. Like, I did the work. I did this.
I love it.
So it's not for...
By November, you and I are going to be punching each other in the face.
Right. Like, it's not a thirst trap.
You're not going to be eating, and I'm going to be so mindfulness that I'm going to punch somebody.
Well, then we do mindfulness together because that's all I'll be able to do.
Yeah, I know.
So yes, I'm not doing this as not a thirst trap. I'm not looking for people to tell me I look good.
Yeah, we're past that point.
Yeah, I'm sharing the pictures.
We got a successful business. You guys can go do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Yeah. So that's my thing, and I think, like I said, it's big. It feels very big.
Yeah, yours was shorter, but your challenge is definitely better.
It's big.
Man, you're raising the stakes. I know this is my year of challenge, but man, you threw the gauntlet down.
Yeah, it scares me too. But that's honestly, that's
I should have done something like, I want to go to space, just pay the $200,000
right. I mean, please don't.
To Elon Musk, speaking of him again, to go up on one of his rockets.
Those things don't always go well. Don't do that.
For some reason, I think it's probably a little more expensive.
Can we just send you to space camp? Like, send you to space camp for a summer instead?
When I was young, space camp was the place.
Yeah.
That was the place. If you were over 40, you know what space camp's all about. In Alabama.
What was that movie where the kids...
Yeah. Oh, there was a movie there.
It was called Space Camp.
And they went into space.
Love that. Oh my gosh. I wanted to be that kid. I also wanted kind of Flight of the Navigator to happen. Now I'm showing really how old I am. We've lost half the audience. So yeah, so please join us on the Best Year of Life Challenge. Even if you just join us by being silently supportive, we appreciate that. We appreciate all your support always.
So how are we going to report on all this? So mine definitely has some... Maybe that's the reporting things. Maybe I'll think about this, but maybe the reporting things is where I get held accountable.
We'll do some check-ins. I figure we'll do a check-in like every maybe 3 months. We'll do a little check-in to see how we're going on our Best Year Ever Challenge.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's it. That's all we got for this one, Dr. Martin. Thank you everyone for listening. Please join us, even like I said, if it's not doing a challenge, but just being supportive and following our journey. You can find all of our social media handles here. We're on all social media at Jason Martin MD and at Beauty and the Surgeon Podcast. You can also call us, leave us a voicemail, which I love, 303-630-9038.
No one leaves you a voicemail.
Not anymore, and it makes me sad.
Absolute embarrassment.
So please.
How can we be so successful in so many areas and the voicemails just fall off?
I know. Well, you can text that number too. You don't have to leave a voicemail.
Yeah,
so just
text her.
Yeah, shoot me a text. So yeah, tell us what you're going to be doing this year to make this your best year ever. We would love to hear it. We'd love to support you too. If you want support from us, ask for it. Right?
If you want some help with your 6M reset, and you can make your M's whatever you want to make them.
Yeah,
that's the best part.
Your M6s. They have
What?
to be, they have to be M's. They have to be,
One of them could be M&Ms, you know?
M's, yeah. So if you would like to support this podcast, we would love it if you would leave us a 5-star rating and review, share us with your friends. If you don't want to leave us a 5-star review, we have a suggestion for something else you can do instead, and that's to listen to the Diet Doc podcast. There you go. Just
There
go
you
somewhere else.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
Yeah, we would love to have you here, but if you're not enjoying it, we get it.
I totally understand.
Yeah. There are other
Sometimes
podcasts
we don't
out
like
there.
ourselves.
Sometimes, and we really are trifling in real life, so
Yeah.
we apologize. But we thank everyone for listening, and we will see you here next time.
See you, hear you next time.
Hear you? Don't forget to check out our sponsor, Let's Get Checked. Let's Get Checked offers fast, affordable, and completely confidential health testing for everything from STDs, male and female hormones, and even COVID-19, right from the comfort of your own home. And remember, new customers and listeners of our podcast get 20% off by using our URL, trylgc.com/beauty, and be sure to use the code BEAUTY20 at checkout. That's trylgc.com/beauty and use the code BEAUTY20, beauty, BEATUY 20 at checkout. Get checked. It's the right thing to do.